Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, Treasures from the Past, a new exhibition in Hull. And That Country from Whose Bourne No Traveller Returns, a conference in Scunthorpe tackles responses to death. And I'll be talking to Janine Reeder and Sandra Johnson about their role in Jesus Christ Superstar at Lincoln Cathedral this summer. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Richards. First of all, it's over to James Dunn for the news headlines.
A tree collapsed onto a building at a boarding school last night during strong winds that damaged property all over the region. Luckily, it was a classroom and no children were inside when the tree crashed into the roof in the middle of the night. The head teacher said that he's just glad there were no children inside at the time the tree struck.
It hasn't done massive damage. It looks a lot worse than it actually is. The roof has clearly been damaged, but it hasn't impacted on any of the classrooms inside. So the hope is that we can make the roof safe over the Easter holiday and get the pupils back in, obviously at the start of next term, in preparation for their AS, A-level exams and of course their GCSEs.
Police are looking for two boys believed to be aged between 13 and 14 who allegedly attempted to rob two younger boys at knife point in Hull on Friday. Police say they allegedly threatened the victims, aged just 10 and 11, with a bladed object and demanded they hand over the money. Nothing was taken, but the victims were said to be very shaken by the incident. Local councillors and MPs have written to the Football Association about unreasonable timescales placed on Hull City AFC to get youth academy status. The club was told they would need to complete its planned facility near Bishop Burton College by April 23rd to get Category 2 training status. This being impossible, it announced it would convert the Airco Arena into a 3G pitch instead, leaving numerous local sports clubs without a home. The arena is run by a stadium management company owned by Hull City owners the Alams. Explosive devices found by workmen in Willoughby have been removed and made safe. Emergency services attended after a number of devices were found on a new housing estate around Gutter Lane at around 4:35 yesterday. But the Explosive Ordnance Disposal team arrived to remove devices and make them safe nearby. There were no evacuations, but roads were closed until around 11 p.m. And finally, you can have your picture taken with the FA Trophy Cup in North Ferriby tonight. The Villagers beat Wrexham in a dramatic penalty shootout at Wembley on Sunday, winning the Cup for the first time in their history. And it's going on show in the Eon Visual Media Stadium tonight between 6 and 7. That's all from me, but bye for now.
Some artefacts from the history of Hull and the East Riding of Yorkshire have been put on public display for the first time. Wilberforce House Museum on Hull's High Street celebrates the life of former Hull and Yorkshire MP William Wilberforce, who was famous for leading the fight against slavery. The new exhibition charts some of the history of the area. Dan Kemp went to find out more about the £144,000 project.
Having been closed in 2006, some of the galleries at Wilberforce House Museum have now reopened to the public. After major refurbishment works closed the venue for a time, it was hoped Phase 2 of the redevelopment project would open 5 years ago. Economic and funding issues followed, but on Thursday last week, 195 square metres of floor space have been reopened to the public.
The building itself is Georgian, 18th century, but what we've created, linking in with that funding, is this gallery, which is Edwardian Hull, and a gallery on the East Yorkshire Regiment with quite unique collections as well. But also we've just got our historic art out as well and local craftsmanship, including Hull silver, furniture and firearms.
There's been an approximate 48% increase in the amount of artefacts on display at the museum. These include the East Yorkshire Regiment Gallery that looks at the centenary of the First World War.
We've got many interesting items really. It's very difficult to pick out a favourite, but I mean we have got the rallying flag, the East Yorkshire Regiment, the 5th Battalion used on the D-Day landings at Normandy, and that's on permanent display. And again, the suffragette material in this gallery is really interesting and sort of tells its own story.
Hull City Council contributed around £35,000 to the finished project, and they are delighted with the finished article.
It's important that really people come in, they learn more about the city, they understand more about the city, and they can be proud of the city because this is a city with an amazing history. And this material, these kind of displays, these kind of museums that we operate and we run help people do that. And I think it sends people away with a spring in their step, feeling good about the place.
And with Hull's City of Culture Year around the corner, it's hoped the world-renowned name of William Wilberforce will help to drive visitors to the rest of the city.
Wilberforce is a name that resonates around the world. You know, Wilberforce and his abolition work had an impact on virtually every country in the world. It's unfinished business though, that's the key thing to remember. Slavery still exists. So it's really important that we use the opportunity of 2017 to carry on telling that story and carry on kind of fighting the fight that Wilberforce started and trying to change that terrible behaviour.
You're watching Estuary TV News. A little later in this programme, we ask another big question of some little kids. And James Dunn will bring you all the sports news. I'm joined now by Janine Reeder and Sandra Johnson, two of the cast of Jesus Christ Superstar, taking place in Lincoln this summer at the glorious cathedral. Janine, Sandra, welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Hi.
Jesus Christ Superstar, first performed on Broadway, I think, in 1970. What's the enduring appeal?
Well, some people believe it's a true story. I suppose that's the main thing. And Andrew Lloyd Webber, it can hardly fail, can it? And Tim Rice. So what a collaboration.
Well, there are some. It's got some very witty lyrics in it, hasn't
absolutely.
it? Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. It's timeless, really. It's timeless.
And Sandra, it's going out at Lincoln Cathedral. A building like that has to present certain technical theatrical problems.
There are one or two, but I don't think they're insurmountable. The production seems to be going on pretty well at the moment, and the ideas that they have for actually putting it on around the cathedral and in the nave of the cathedral, I think are going to be pretty spectacular.
And how about the acoustics? There's a lot of music, a lot of singing.
The acoustics are fantastic in a cathedral.
They tend to be, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes. So
200 of us in the chorus.
200 people.
200. It's a community project.
How many people per house then, per audience?
I don't know really. I mean,
just over 400. I
so
believe.
you've got an audience that's only twice the size of the cast.
Yes, yes.
Not quite a cast of thousands.
They normally sell about 1,500 tickets for a production or a concert in the cathedral, but so that everybody can see, you know, what's happening, they've reduced the ticket numbers to just over 400. So.
And when is it?
23rd of July, opening night, and it finishes on the 1st of August. So we've got a little while yet.
I think you're sold out there, Sandra, aren't you?
Sold out. Fantastic. The tickets sold out within 5 weeks of going on sale. So, you know, if people now would like to come and see the production, the only way they're going to get there is perhaps to purchase one of the sponsorship packages that the cathedral have on sale.
Now, these sponsorship packages are to raise money to raise money to pay for the production, firstly, of course.
Absolutely.
But presumably you've done that
Yeah.
with ticket sales.
Yeah. Over 4,000.
Over 4,000.
Yes,
so
have sold.
anything over the top is to go towards the upkeep of the cathedral.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as it's part, actually, this production is part of the cathedral's 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta, the signing of the Magna Carta. So they're expecting lots and lots of people to be in and around Lincoln, well, always, but certainly this year as part of that celebration. And we are part of that celebration. And you know, it costs a lot to the upkeep of the cathedral.
Well, it's about £1.6 million a year, I think,
yes,
isn't it?
yeah,
And they're always short of money. Anyway, it'll be a fantastic venue, but it's a massive project to have a cast that size operating in a place like that. How long have you been working on this? How long have you been rehearsing?
Since last September.
Yes, yeah.
We've been rehearsing one night a week since last September. People from all over Lincolnshire and Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire as well are in the cast. And so we all travel a fair way.
So we should identify what your organisation is, who you are.
Well, this is not a company. It's been set up purely for this. It's a community project. So there are lots of different societies, amateur groups. Lots of choirs actually are involved in this.
Yeah.
Lots of choirs from in and around Lincolnshire and Nottinghamshire, and different operatic societies, etc., etc. So we've come together. We actually have done this before with our own company, well, with my company. Sandra's not a member now, but with Grimsby Operatic Society.
What did you do?
I joined a different choir.
Okay.
Expelled, no, joking. No, we are now Curtain Up Productions, and we were Grimsby and Cleethorpes Operatic Society, and we actually did this performance at this production at Grimsby Auditorium. in 2004.
Okay.
So we're lucky we've done it before.
Coming back for a second time.
Yes.
Just before, we'll have to stop in a moment, but we mentioned the sponsorship. What is it that the production requires, or the cathedral requires particularly? They need to be powered somehow.
Yes, they're looking for somebody to donate 1,500 AA batteries.
Right.
Which would be for the, for the sound, for the mics and goodness knows what. And also they're looking for a haulage company, for offers from haulage companies to transport scenery to and from the cathedral. So
Okay.
in addition
Janine,
to the packs.
Janine, we'll stop there, but we'll come back in a second.
Fine.
It's a difficult time for all friends and family members, but when relatives or close friends are coming to the ends of their lives, you want to be sure that they're receiving the best care and advice possible. That was the aim of a conference which took place in Scunthorpe to raise awareness for medical staff. The purpose was to train practitioners to deal with the emotional pressures and improve their understanding of a sad but inevitable conversation. Richard Morris explains.
Death is something which affects everyone, but for some it can mean a difficult conversation with the doctor. For a while now, Northern Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Foundation Trust has been trying to improve the services provided by their healthcare staff.
And it's can be very difficult to find sort of the right point in time, and it's recognising that the patient's deteriorating and that end of life is approaching, and that then we can start the conversations, but the patient has got to be ready for those conversations. A lot of the time the patients won't want those conversations, and it's about picking up on the triggers to then start the conversations with them, because the patient's got to be ready.
It's a sensitive area for dealing with by the staff. The frequency of end-of-life conversations varies.
It depends what area we're working in. Obviously, working in palliative care, it's a daily event for me, talking to people about their illness and the likely outcomes, talking to their families. For GPs, it's perhaps not happening as often, as we've already heard today, that an average GP will deal with 20 deaths in a year. So each time they do it, it's hard for them. And we're trying to give them some skills to improve their confidence in dealing with a dying patient and the families. I'm becoming more confident in opening the conversation, supporting the patient through what they want to talk about, encouraging them to express their worries. So if health and social care staff are more confident, the conversation will go better.
Janine Reeder and Sandra Johnson are still with me. Jesus Christ Superstar was quite controversial in its time, wasn't it? A lot of people thought it was some terrible blasphemy in it.
I think it's still controversial, to be honest. I mean, people either love it or loathe it. It's simple as that. I think because of its content and the fact that it was mixed with rock. It's a rock opera, and it has been done in many different places, never in a cathedral apparently, but I think it could still be controversial amongst some people, but certainly not us. We've gone back for a second,
it was a concept album, wasn't it, before it was redesigned as a show, Sandra, I think.
Yes, I believe it was originally, yes, yeah. But I mean, the story, it's the oldest story there is, so whether you believe or you don't, it's still a wonderful show.
I don't mean to be pedantic, but the fact that it appears in the New Testament suggests that maybe... never mind, I won't be fussy about that. Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, of course, you've had a problem getting the rights to perform it there.
Yes, because normally, Hugh, when a production is being done by a professional company or on a tour, the licence is never granted to an amateur company. So there's been special meetings in the House of Lords with a chap called Lord Carlisle. He was a former MP for Lincoln, and he's had several meetings with Andrew Lloyd Webber in the House of Lords.
Who is, of course, Lord Lloyd Webber.
Yes, Lord Webber. Lord.
Yes.
And apparently he agreed to do it to them doing this in the cathedral, and apparently is quite excited by the prospect of it being done there.
So is there a chance of Lloyd Webber or Rice coming up to see it?
We don't know. We haven't been told that. It would be lovely if he could.
Well, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
It would, yes.
Well, as long as they liked it, anyway.
Reward.
How long have you two been performing then? Are you veteran thespians, or are you, are you coming new to this?
Well, this is my 48th year in musical theatre. in 2 years' time I get a special badge from NODA, which is the National Operatic and Dramatic Association, for being for performing for 50 years. So I started when I was 2.
Right. Younger than that. And Sandra, you about the same vintage?
No, I joined in 1977 with the what's now Curtain Up, but then I moved on to our local Grimsby and Cleethorpes Philharmonic Choir. So slightly different music, but still.
And but you've always been musical, have you?
We've both done this before. Obviously, this show at Grimsby. Also, well, there are 4 of us that travel to Lincoln weekly. Helen Kent, who's still in Curtain Productions with us, and my son-in-law Jody McCutcheon, who's playing an apostle. He played an apostle in the Grimsby production, and he's travelling with us this time as well. So. So we're very keen.
But have you ever thought about maybe doing straight theatre, or is it always musicals, always opera?
I do straight theatre. I've done quite a bit of professional work as well.
Okay. Well, that sounds fantastic. Jesus Christ Superstar at Lincoln Cathedral. Just to remind ourselves of the dates: 31st of July to the 1st of August.
23rd of July.
23rd of July to the 1st of August. I can't read my handwriting. What else is on the pipeline for Curtain Up?
Well, I'm actually having to miss my own company show, which is Guys and Dolls. That's going to be at Cleethorpes Memorial Hall on the 16th, 17th and 18th of July. So sadly, I'm going to miss being in that, which is a shame.
We might come back to the reason why, Janine, for a moment there. And Sandra, how about you? What big plans have you got coming up for the rest of the summer?
Well, again, with the Grimsby choir, we're singing Gilbert and Sullivan, which is slightly different to Jesus Christ Superstar, and that's on the 25th of April in the Central Hall.
Okay, and very quickly, Janine, you're going to be in Rio de Janeiro.
I am going to Rio de Janeiro, yes, very, very soon. For a quick visit in between rehearsals, actually.
And that's because, very quickly, because your son is organising the Olympics.
No, he's a cast coordinator
All right, Janine,
for the opening of the Olympics.
That's all we have to have. A wonderful trip and have a wonderful
Thank you.
performance. Thanks very much, both of you.
Thank you.
We go onto the streets now to see how good you are at spotting the mistake.
We're here in a very windy Grimsby Town Centre to ask people if they can spot the mistake in this sentence. Does anyone fancy a ride out to Seaside this weekend? And of course the correct answer is, does anyone fancy a ride out to the Seaside this weekend? Let's see how people get on.
Does that, yeah, fancy's wrong. Seaside this weekend, question mark. Just fancy, I think.
Anything else I can see?
It's a trick question. No.
No.
I'll show you the correct answer.
Oh, well, look up.
What would it say to the seaside, before the seaside, on the other side?
To seaside. Oh.
To seaside. Oh, yeah. I thought it was a Yorkshire saying. I don't know.
Does anyone fancy a ride out to the seaside this season? Is it?
Any kind of other mistakes you can spot?
Well, the fancy don't look right to me.
Shall I show you the correct answer?
Go on then.
It's a bit more surprising.
Oh, right, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so glaringly obvious now, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I can see it now.
Sense?
It does, it makes a lot more sense, yeah.
Anyone fancy a ride out, this ride out to the seaside this weekend? Does anyone fancy a ride out to the side? Does anyone fancy, innit?
Yep. Are there any other mistakes you can see there at all?
No.
Okay, I'll show you the right one. Does that make more sense?
That's better.
There are a couple.
This should have a commenter in it.
Okay.
To the seaside, it should have the and the.
Should this country have a national bird? The pupils of Willow Academy flock to answer that big question.
We are from Willow's Academy. This week's question is, should we have a national bird?
Yes.
Why?
Because all the other countries have one, so why shouldn't we?
Yeah,
What do you think it should be?
a robin.
Why?
Because, on Christmas, you mostly see it on Christmas cards and it's a peaceful bird.
I think it should be a swan.
Oh, good choice. Why?
Because it's like in every river and canal and that. A robin.
Why?
Because it represents England, and it's in England, and you see it quite a lot, and it's on Christmas cards and everything like that.
Yes. And what should it be?
It could be a crow.
That's an interesting one. Why a crow?
Because where I live, I just sometimes look out the window and see him all the time. A robin.
That's an interesting choice. Why a robin?
You see them near enough everywhere. In different areas as well.
Probably a pigeon, because they're all around when you go in town, follow you and stuff, and everywhere.
Over to James Dunn now for the sport.
Grimsby boxer Kevin Hooper's revealed he wants to fight for the British, Commonwealth and European crowns after defeating Barnsley's Ben Wager a fortnight ago. He says he's willing to fight anywhere for the titles. Yesterday we mentioned Hull Ionians' victory against Luctonians. They dominated the pack, pushing the ball over the line rather than running it more than once. But here's the great run that in the first half that put them on the road to their 26-0 victory. They'll play Stourbridge on Saturday. That's a great try there. In hockey, Grimsby's men have become Yorkshire League Division 1 champions after defeating Airedale 4-1. The side were defeated only 4 times on their way to the title and hope to replicate that form next season in the Premier League. Local motorcycle riders Jason O'Halloran, Ryuichi Kiyanari and Lee Jackson will be gunning for glory at Donington Park this weekend in the British Superbike Championships season opener. Kiyanari will be hoping for his 4th championship title after missing out last term due to a broken collarbone. And finally, it's the famous Rugby League derby on Thursday, which will see Hull KR take on Hull City. We spoke to Kingston Rovers' Terry Campese, who says he'll be looking to impress more than just the manager this week.
Mum and cousin turn up, on the Tuesday, so a couple of days out. So it's going to be the first game that they get to see, and I think they won't ever see anything like it. So I'm excited for them to be here to watch the first derby.
That's all from me. I'll be back tomorrow with more sport.
Do Google Superstar Lincoln. Details to contact us on the screen. Emma will be here tomorrow. I'll be back later in the week. Good evening.
Hello there and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Another day of bright, sunny spells and scattered showers, most places becoming dry later on, and winds continuing and a maximum temperature of 9 degrees Celsius. Thursday will be mainly dry with some sunny spells after an early frost.